can see that point. Navaid, you had mentioned some of the physical properties of cobalt, the heat transfer properties and how it's so stable under heat, which is why it's in such high demand by a lot of these critical sectors. But for people who may be curious, could you go into a little bit of the processing, what you will be doing in this plant? For instance, I imagine that many people, when they hear cobalt, they may think you're actually mining it. You're actually going into the ground and digging some rock out and then doing some processing, but it's not like that. Could you just explain briefly the chemistry of what it is that you're doing, taking in the raw product, the base product, and then converting it into a more refined product?
Sure. The product we're getting in from Africa is actually, it's mined in Africa, and it's also processed to a 30% purity, which is a very high purity product that we are then bringing into the United States.
And what do you call that raw material?
That raw material that we're bringing is called Cobalt Hydroxide.
Okay.
And it's, as I said, about a 30% pure cobalt, and it's a very environmentally clean for us to process in the United States. We will have no tailings on our facility site, and we'll be able to take any non-hazardous waste material that we have to the local landfill, which is very happy to take our material for the next 200 years. And we're also going to be solar powered, so our energy is going to be very clean and very cheap for the long run.
And you had mentioned actually the way you process this, which is common around the world. We should say it's not unique. There's nothing proprietary about the way you're doing it, but it's probably the most environmentally friendly. Can you just briefly describe what is the process from taking that cobalt hydroxide and then converting it into a sulfate?
Sure. We are going to be using the atmospheric bleaching method, which is the lowest heat, lowest power method of extracting the solvent. It's called solvent extraction, which is SX for extracting cobalt hydroxide and turning into cobalt sulfate. We're then going to be using a crystallizer to turn it into the salt. So sulfate is salt, and that cobalt salt is then going to be sold to the battery manufacturers that make batteries for drones, for cars, for other material.